Newsy. It's news with a Y. Why the Y? Well, for starters, we've never wanted to be like the other guys, the shouters,
Giving company XYZ,
the flamethrowers. So, why are we different?
Because we dive wide to deliver more viewpoints, more sources, more than what you'll find on the right, left, or anywhere in between.
We're not satisfied with the state of the news.
What happened now in this cockpit?
We can do better.
We have the technology.
We believe people need thoughtful information. That's what we deliver.
Police forced themselves into her room.
Many critics of U.S. surveillance practices call the reforms modest.
We strive to live up to our name every day. News, and then some. It's Newsy. News with the Y.
So we're a partnership with the journalism school. I believe every person that you saw in that video is a graduate of the journalism school. We've been able to build, I believe, probably the most competitive digital team and digital newsroom on the planet because of the amazing students that come out of this school. And so that's what Newsy is. We're right across the street. Randy's right. We started with a website a long time ago. Then we were one of the first video news iPad apps out there. Very strong in mobile. But now we're going to talk about kind of where the future is. And this is a shot of our Roku app. How many people know what OTT is? Raise your hand if you know what OTT is. Okay. So we're going to talk about what OTT is first. And I move around a lot, so I guess I'll end up using this microphone. So basically, OTT is the delivery of video to a television, but basically through what's called Internet Protocol TV. In other words, they use the internet rather than your cable system. So perhaps you subscribe to broadband from your cable system, but the video is delivered via the internet. Here's the really lengthy description for you for all the academics out there looking to fill pages in their research publications. But, you know, the kinds of things that represent what over-the-top TV is are things like Roku and the Amazon Fire. How many people have heard of those devices? Okay, so there we go. So you do know what OTT is. So we're actually going to take a look over here at OTT, and you'll notice right here is a Newsy app, and we're all going to sit here and hope like crazy that this thing works. And it's loading, and it's loading, and this is what happens when you do a presentation. There we go. So you notice over here on the left, you can scroll through world, US, politics, business, trending. You can search. You can watch top stories. So this is a story that we did this morning, and we'll just take a quick look at it. You can add it to a queue if you want to. Watch it on continuous play, which a lot of people do. This is the network in this room, not the device. There we go. One more circle. I know it's a little hard for some folks to see too, and it will be hard for you guys to hear it. Outstanding. Well, it worked yesterday. Okay, so what we do is we fill the time as we wait for the story to load. Anyhow, we were very early to Roku and very early to Amazon Fire. Roku, in fact, liked Newsy so much that they ended up building us an app just to launch on Roku and have available to their users. Then we ended up building a customized app for Roku, and we have a new one that is under review right now that's also going to be able to include advertising in it. And then we also built a custom app for Amazon Fire, which is this fine device that's not working properly over here right now. But I think that OTT is a game changer. I think that OTT is as big as mobile. It allows us, Newsy, a small little operation here in Columbia, Missouri, to be on your television set through your internet connection. It allows us to be next to Netflix. It allows us to be next to Hulu. It allows us to be next to HBO. It allows us to be next to NBC, CBS, ESPN, and all sorts of folks. It also allows us to be able to do that at a significantly lower cost than any of those operations. If you want to talk about where things are going, here's just some headlines from this week and this morning. Streaming overtakes live TV among consumers' viewing preferences. Verizon changes the TV conversation. I don't know how many people are familiar with the Verizon ESPN controversy that's going on right now. Raise your hand. ESPN, well, before Frozen, ESPN, speaking of Frozen, ESPN was responsible for something like 70% of the operating cash flow of the Disney Corporation. So they take a threat to ESPN extremely seriously, because what over-the-top TV does is it allows the opportunity to unbundle your cable system. So how many people know what I'm talking about when I say unbundle? Okay, this has been a strategic initiative of the cable industry for many, many years. And being able to unbundle means that you get into an a la carte choice basis, which means if you want ESPN, you can pay for ESPN. The question is, will you pay on a monthly basis for ESPN what the cable companies have been able to charge you for the last 30 years for that network? It'll be really interesting to see how this plays out. This is a headline from just this morning from TechCrunch, where Cablevision debuts. You guys are probably familiar with the term cord cutters, packages combining broadband, free antennas, and HBO Now. There it goes. Anyhow, you guys get the point. You can pause it. You can sit and you can watch a number of them. Of our stories. That's what people do. So if they watch maybe 2 or 3 stories on our website, they watch like maybe 4 videos on our mobile site. But when they go to OTT, they watch more like 12 or 15. So it's really working out fantastically for us. It's always nice as the technology advances that people engage more and more with your content. So that's the Amazon Fire. We also have a Roku app. I do encourage you to get one of these devices and to check it out. Most people get it to watch Netflix. Most people get it to watch movies, that kind of thing. But I believe that this is an important thing for you to be sharing with your students. I think this is very much where the future is going. When I was a grad student, and sitting in this room, the future was kind of like satellite and cable TV and this really weird thing called the World Wide Web. But I think that OTT represents a huge opportunity for your students to think that they could create their own newsroom and that they could have their own channel distributed to every household, or excuse me, about 70% of the households in the country, at least through cable. We'll talk about how many people are using it and how many people are going to use it. This is a report from eMarketer that shows the growth basically between now and 2020. It's always nice when things go up and to the right. You saw the term cord cutters before. We have folks who work at Newsy who have never subscribed to cable, kind of cord nevers, and they prefer to watch their video this way. Here's just another indication of the penetration that they're expected to see with connected TV users and the percentage of the population. You can see it jumping from a couple of years ago at just 17%, nearing 60% in 2018. It's also really important to understand that cable peaked at around 73%. So that's a very important number to be able to see. Here are the top devices that are out there. Roku, as you can see, has been dominant. Chromecast has come on really strong in 2015. It's about a $35 stick, just like this little stick here. Roku's got a little stick that's $35. Very inexpensive, very easy to connect, except for when you're in this room. Here's some of the smart TV options. So these are the TVs that when you go into Best Buy or when you go into your local TV retailer and you see all the little icons at the bottom that say Smart TV. This is the market share for Smart TV. These are the people who are watching it. As you can see, it's very strong in terms of millennials. It's interesting to see the difference between desktop and laptop, which is far left, smartphone, then tablet, TV, and then gaming device. The Xbox and PlayStation 4 are also over-the-top TV capable. This is a shameless plug for the great company that bought us. This is the CEO who is a true visionary and truly believes in capital J journalism. We are extremely proud to be part of the Scripps family. We believe that that their slogan is "Give people light, and they will find their way." And I believe the inscription above the arch is "Why shall be the bearers of light?" Here at the journalism school. And then this is my boss, Adam Simpson, who's the Chief Digital Officer. He's an executive that makes things happen and really believes in the future of journalism. So that's kind of an overview of over-the-top TV and an overview of Newsy. And then I thought what we'd do is we'd open it up for some questions if we still have time. Do we still have time or are we out of time? Okay, we have time. Who has a question? Come on, don't be shy.
So, Jim, a question that I've had all along about this is, from years of teaching students how to make television news and to do broadcast-style packages for regular television, what are some of the things that you've learned about the differences in creating news videos for our new audiences, both for mobile and for over-the-top television?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. So, one, I encourage you to try to join the tour today of Newsy if you get a chance. You saw the style and the mannerisms. You also saw the look and feel of the Newsy video that I showed you. It's considerably less formal. The words that millennials would use is they consider it to be more authentic. Maybe folks in the broadcast profession would consider it to be a little bit more amateur. It's a different style. It's a different presentation. It needs to move quickly. It needs to work on mobile. It needs to work on every platform. And you have to really think about how does this work on the web? How does this work on a small handheld device? How does this work on a tablet? And how does this work on OTT? So another way to find out is to download the Newsy app or watch it on OTT or go to the website, and you can see some of the things that we've learned along the way. Who else has a question? Oh, come on. Yep. I can hear you from there. Oh, that's right. We're live streaming. That's right. Sorry. Don't let technology get in the way.
Ed Madison, University of Oregon. So what was the processing cost for getting on to Roku?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we build a lot of our stuff internally, but we decided that speed was a factor in making sure that we got on these devices. The holidays were really big for Amazon and for Roku, so we went with some recommended vendors that Roku gave us as well as Amazon gave us. And they turned things around in a matter of weeks and for tens of thousands of dollars, not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they continue to make adjustments and improvements to it. As this industry very, very quickly evolves. I think we're going to be one of the first news apps to be able to sell advertising on the Amazon Fire, which we're pretty proud about. Who else has a question? Yep. Sure, I can repeat. Yep. So analytics on usage, which I mentioned or referenced a little bit earlier. So as I said before, if they watch 1 or 2 videos on our website, they watch 3 or 4 on their mobile devices, and they watch like 12 plus on OTT. What we're finding is that people are using Newsy in a way that's different than we had anticipated when we first started like 7 years ago. 7 years ago was very much an on-demand world, and our product is an on-demand product where you choose the video that you want to watch, you watch it, then you choose the next video. But we're moving now much more to what we call continuous play and autoplay, where people just want to put it on and leave it on and let it keep going. And they want to just be able to watch story after story after story after story. So that's kind of more of a linear approach than an on-demand approach. And we've noticed that significant change just in the last 24 months.
Hey, Jim. Mike McKean.
Hey,
plans negotiating with Apple TV or Chromecast. Can you imagine a watch being part of Newsy's plans at some point?
Yeah, no, we think the watch is interesting. We think the watch is interesting for alerts, to be able to alert you to a story. We publish alerts when we publish a story that says, you know, hey, here's the headline for it. I don't know that the screen is totally ready for video yet, or the bandwidth, as you can tell. Yeah. But the key is to be able to customize your content to work on the watch, to work on the phone, to work on the web, to work on all the platforms, and be able to use those platforms in the best way so that, you know, the continuous play with OTT has become really important. The question is how do we take the content that we produce at Newsy and make it relevant for the watch?
Apple TV?
Apple TV, tough negotiation, still working on it.
Okay, thanks.
Should have yelled down.
That's okay.
So what have you learned about the audience for your product on Roku?
Yeah.
You know, Linda asked about how the content you produce is different. What do you think is different about the audience there?
Yeah, I think that it's younger. I think that they want news, they want video. They really, really like video. One of the things that's cool about video is it works on all 4 screens. So it works on your handset, you know, your mobile phone. It works on the tablet. It works on the web, and it works on OTT. So they really like video. And I think probably if I had to think about what's changed, at least since I was in school here, I've seen nothing but demand for news to continue to grow and grow. I spent most of my career on the internet, and people are consuming more news than they ever have before. The things that's changed are the distribution systems and the business models, and so you have to be able to accommodate for those changes, or better yet, embrace them. And there are a lot of disruptive technologies like mobile and like OTT that you have to pivot and move very quickly to embrace. And I credit our team at Newsy for our ability to do that.
So we have a lot of students who are here today, and students are very concerned with where jobs are going to be when they graduate. And so as they evaluate the different kinds of companies that they could work for, not everyone can go to work for Newsy. What kinds of things should they be looking for in a company? What are some indicators that a company is really forward thinking with regard to digital strategies? What are some indications that maybe a company is less likely to be at the forefront of these kinds of technologies, particularly when it comes to video production?
Yeah, no, it's an excellent question, Linda. Thank you. This isn't a shameless plug. This is the truth. Scripps stepped up 16 months ago and bought us for $35 million cash. They invested in the future. They made a bet. They took a risk, and we are very proud to be part of them. And they very much represent the future. They have a lot of television stations that they use to be able to fund investments in the future. But you know, when you go to interview at a company, you know, maybe ask the person as they're asking you a lot of questions, what's your OTT strategy? What's your long-term OTT strategy? What's going to happen to your retransmission consent fees if OTT takes over cable? Questions like that are really important because folks need to be planning for the future, because as you can see by the growth rates with these technologies, you know, you really have two options: to either totally embrace it and make it work for you and transform your business, or not. And the folks that don't, I think, are going to have a much higher difficult challenge in the future than the people who embrace it. It's not a threat. It's disruption. It's natural innovation that's occurring. And one thing that I've found is that you really can't get in the way of technology. Once it gets out underneath the door, it's out there. It's like information, and everybody can have access to it, and everybody can use it. That's okay.
What Newsy is doing to appeal to niche markets. And then my second question is, what kind of interest has there been in using Newsy or Newsy-like products for sponsored content, branded advertising, native advertising, whatever you want to
Sure. No, I encourage you to visit a lot of the Scripps websites. When you do, you'll see a prominent Newsy presence on those sites. There'll be other products that we'll be rolling out and unveiling with them in the future. And then on the branded content side, you know, because we do with video what a lot of folks do with text, we're actually that fast. When you see our newsroom this afternoon, you'll see folks who throw video around the room as fast as people throw text around. And a lot of people want branded content in video. They really like the video experience. We haven't jumped into that space yet. I feel that either Dean Mills or Walter Williams will come over and give me an F if I start producing branded content. Branded content is not news. Branded content is advertising. It needs to be labeled as such. It needs to be branded as such. And I'm a firm believer that when you start to confuse the viewer with the idea that you're telling them a story, but you're actually selling them something with a different agenda, that you need to probably either rebrand your company yourself and decide what business you're really in, or be in the journalism business.
I have two questions actually, and they're not very related, but what's your revenue model? I don't see a pre-roll ad or anything like that, and
Sure.
I don't think that they're on OTT.
Mm-hmm.
And also, are you having your students create original content, or are you repurposing Associated Press photos and other photos from
Sure.
other media groups?
Yeah, no, our business model is we have multiple revenue streams. We produce video for some of the top news organizations in the world. A lot of them based in New York with brands that you would very easily recognize. Why? Because they need help with video. They want more video. They need good, professionally produced video, and we're able to do it for them in a voice that really works for them. That's one revenue stream. Another revenue stream is syndication. So if you do get one of these Roku devices and you go to something like AOL On, you'll see that the vast majority of the news content in AOL On is Newsy branded content. So syndication's been a really, really good revenue stream for us. And then we continue to experiment with pre-roll and advertising. So what we've tried to do is we've tried to come up with multiple revenue models so that we can, survive and sustain as a business. Reaching profitability was a huge goal of mine, and we were able to achieve that fairly early on. Part of that is a combination of just being really aggressive in the marketplace and coming up with new business models. Other parts of it are being able to make the sacrifice and do things like move to Columbia, Missouri instead of live in New York City, or live in San Francisco where I used to live before this, and New York before that. It's very difficult to produce content that you can sell at a profit on a mobile device when you're paying Manhattan rent prices. We produce original content. We don't do original reporting, but we produce original content. We do all of the research ourselves. We write all of our own transcripts. There's a transcript that goes with every story. There's links inside of the transcripts that take you to the primary sources. All the sources are attributed heavily on our service, and we will roll out ads as we see that it is in a way that our viewers and our users are happy with the way that we're doing it. Yep. Is that it?
Well, I was wondering if you don't have much time left, so this is a broad question, but could you talk...
I don't have much time left. That sounds like a pretty big statement, but that's okay.
Could you talk about curation and sampling?
Sure.
And cease and desist letters?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll leave it up to Randy to ask the easy last question. Maybe he's right. Maybe I don't have much time left. I think that's it. No, kidding. Yeah, so we started curating video very early on. Curation has been part of journalism since its very beginnings, and people have been curating text for a long time. We just decided that we were going to embrace video, which we thought was really important, and embrace mobile. We've been very fortunate to put in practice what I believe are the best practices of the fair use copyright law. Things that have to do with research, commentary, education, analysis, and those are all the things that we do at Newsy. And we use the shortest piece that we can just to give you a general sense of the direction of that reporting. But one of the things that we do is that we believe in the concept of multi-source news, where single source news is really valuable. It truly is. But we're finding that at least our audience really likes the idea of having multiple sources because we live in a very globalized and polarized world now, and we believe that this approach to journalism is a unique approach and one that people seem to like.